second for you. Getting closer. Hey friends, welcome to another episode of Getting Close Up, the show focused on independent artists and creatives. I'm Danielle, and since you're here, there's a little button that looks like this, like that there, like my thumb. Go ahead and click it and make sure that you also subscribe because it helps our channel in our effort to support artists. I know you want to. The next guest I have today, I'm so excited to speak with him today. Kansas City has been said that its dating pool has a little pee in it. However, the talent pool is pristine. I guarantee you. My next guest is a Grammy-nominated producer, songwriter, engineer, and vocal arranger who kept his promise to his mentor to pay it forward in mentorship in the place where his journey all began. Today, we are getting close up with Jo Blaq.
Thank you. That was a great introduction.
I was like, yeah, the dating pool might be a little off, but that talent pool.
Talent pool is full.
It's chef's kiss.
Yeah, it is. It really is.
So how you doing today? And you're a big part of that pool, by the way. So
I'm just want to do my part.
And you definitely are. I can't wait to talk about it. Yeah. So you're born and raised Wyandotte County. Yes. You're very proud of where you're from.
Yes, yes.
Let's talk a little bit about your beginnings.
Okay.
How were you making connections once you decided to get into music? Mm-hmm. Because you kind of had a journey before that in sports.
Yeah.
When you decided to get involved in music, talk to me about your connections and how you started making connections there.
Well, I mean, I think the basketball circuit, being on that circuit helped out a lot. Some of my guys were having major success. People I grew up with playing since we were kids. We played basketball. Some of them I grew up since kindergarten. I will say that I always kind of give them a shout out. Earl Watson, Baron Davis used to come in town and hang out with Earl Watson, and so we all were boys. So I got to hang out with Baron, and so when I did start to get into the music, Earl loved my music. He was like, man, he was a big fan. He would let his boys listen to it, and he let Baron hear it one day, and I think that day was the day that everything kind of started happening.
So it was basically word of mouth. Your friends say, hey, you need to get into this. Yeah. But then you also had someone come into your life who really guided you.
Yes.
I referred to earlier as your mentor.
Yes.
Talk to me about that.
Craig Lindsay, he's the guru. I always say without him, I was working. You're not saying that nothing would have happened for me, but he really took the time and kind of opened up himself to say, hey, here's my space. I'm gonna welcome you in my space because I believe you have something. And so he literally stayed on me. He was the person who really showed me, not stayed on me, he showed me and introduced me to everything that I possibly could be introduced to, from programming to, he was probably the one who would tell me, hey, it's more than one way to get paid in this music industry. So don't get stuck in just thinking, you got to be a producer. Maybe being an engineer is going to get you in the door, right? So,
and that's very interesting to me because he took you under his wing and you learned all the different facets. Mm-hmm. And you also talk about how taking your ego out of it was a big part of it, mm-hmm. because presenting yourself as a producer mm-hmm. and wanting, and people kind of see that as the person who's in charge or in control. Mm-hmm. But if you come in and you're the engineer or you're mm-hmm. working on something else, talk to me about how that approach affected your rise.
My dad used to say, this is one of his favorite sayings, was gifts will make room for you. Your gifts will make room for you, right? And so Craig taught me from a standpoint of, the engineering portion was like to learn from the old school way, which was to me the right way, and really learning how to get in and out of a system and how to troubleshoot. And so, I had the talent of, writing and producing music, but I also knew that there was a technical side of the music business that I believe that a lot of us, if we would tap into that part more, it would really make us better producers and better writers. And so me being able to be an engineer, and because Craig made me learn it so good, that I could walk into any room, any studio, and if something wasn't working, if the engineer wasn't good, I would step in and they'd be like, yo, you cold.
Right.
And really
the proof would be in the pudding.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And it really opened up the door, because those are when, being an engineer and being able to be a vocal producer as well, kind of opens up the door for you to have conversations with artists, with other engineers, other writers, and they like, so what all you do? You just engineer all you do? And then you got to have those conversations. Like, no, I'm actually produce, engineering is just my, I'm good at doing it, but producing and writing is what I do. And so they like, let me hear something.
Right.
And then that's when,
So it kind of like helped you get your foot in the door.
Yeah, you get in.
Moving into a space, having the talent, but also having some skills behind you and the mindset of getting in where you fit in. Because I think like a lot of people get intimidated when they hear the word producer because some people are kind of, grandiose.
Yeah, for sure.
About it. And creatives, they can be grandiose, they can be temperamental, they can be a lot of different ways. Working as an engineer or doing that technical stuff and then having to work with an artist.
Yeah.
What is that dynamic like? And what are some key elements to making sure that dynamic stays level?
It's the trust factor. I think kind of one of a really good example is Jimmy Iovine. We know him as the owner of Interscope Records.
Right.
Jimmy Iovine actually started as an intern, as an engineer. And then from there, one of the engineers didn't show up, and just so happened to, he was just an intern at the time, but that engineer didn't show up. So they threw him in the fire. And next thing you know, that person that he linked up with helped him extend his career past that. So I think, knowing the technical side and doing all that stuff is super important, because it's the fundamentals will get you and keep you and sustain you. And I think that's the big portion for me. And then it's just those conversations that you're having, because, being in the studio, you got to find a comfort zone. Right?
You in there for hours sometimes.
Yeah, you're in there for hours.
Days sometimes.
Yeah, 100%. Like, and in some tight confines. So you're like, all right, you got to make sure that, each artist and each person in that room is feel comfortable and not feeling like, what are they doing here? Because everybody's skeptical. Everybody wants, like, man, what they trying to do, man, And I've seen it happen. Like, no, man, I'm okay with just being the engineer. I'm okay with just being a vocal producer right now, because it's going to get me where I need to be. And then y'all going to see me surpass you, because I knew that it's, me taking these steps and not trying to rush anything is going to give me the longevity that I wanted.
Staying in your lane.
Staying in my lane.
And I think that's a big point, even for creatives, and then even in the professional world. Like, it comes up a lot in my life, my professional life, staying in your lane.
Most
Everybody
definitely.
has their job. They know what they need to do, and they do it. That's one of the reasons, I feel like even with the small team that we have, things work so well. Because everybody does the part that they're supposed to play.
Yeah, I learned that a long time ago. You do what you're great at. Like, don't try to do, you may be great at hosting. D may be great at, in the back.
Right. Making sure that my mic isn't upside down.
Exactly. But those are the things like I had to learn, and that's the humble for me part was like, I can't do everything, and I can't be an expert at everything either. Right. So just putting other people in place that are experts at what they do. So that lets me know we're going to always get the top quality of whatever it is. So.
And talking about all the different jobs and the different roles, when I talk to different artists, and a lot of the ones that I've interviewed for this show, they talk about one of the main barriers to getting their projects out is mixing. Some of those technical aspects that you talk about. Finding somebody to do it, finding somebody that they click with, that they feel comfortable giving their baby to. So they can trust them to return back to them, something that is not just their vision, but is like the skill of someone else in this position plus their vision.
Yeah.
How important, is that something, let me just ask this way. Is that something that anybody can learn how to do, or do you have to have a particular affinity for mixing in some of those intricacies?
I mean, to me, it's something like, I got my audio engineering school, and I think I can teach anybody. The thing is, I think it's whatever someone's learning, it's the passion that comes behind it. So, when Craig was teaching me, I was locked in, because I was like, this is what I want to do. I want to learn this too. I just got tired of having music and creating music, and then it sound like trash. I'm like, that don't sound like what I hear on the radio. You know what I mean? So I was just like, man, I want to figure this out. So I can make sure that if somebody does hire me, that I'm going to treat their project like I would treat my own.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's key.
Yeah.
So let's jump ahead a little bit to how you took all of what you had learned, you moved to LA, and that's a very competitive, cutthroat market for what it is that you're trying to do. And albeit while you're taking a different approach, not going in like, hey, I'm a producer. It's like, I can do that, but I also do all these other things. What was it about being there? What did it teach you about yourself?
For one, it taught me that I wasn't as good as I thought I was. Right. I think that was the biggest lesson.
That's key though.
Yeah.
Because that does teach you something about where you need to be.
Yeah, and I think that was my lesson. Like, that Kansas City, I love us here, but our people will hype us up, and we think we have the best records, and we get so locked into what we think is dope. But the reality of it is when you go and, like I tell the story all the time, my friend Harmony, who was one of the people who kind of got me really into the game with the Arianna. I went and played them records when I first got to LA. People was telling him about me. I played them some records. He's like, oh, it's cool. Then he played me some records, and I was like,
wait, they didn't give you the church like, oh, that's nice, baby.
Nah, he didn't give me that.
Okay.
He was nice with it. He didn't make me feel like, yeah, that was trash. But he's like, man, that's dope. I was like, man, let me hear something. So he started playing me records, and it was like, oh yeah, I should quit. Yeah, and so, but that just let me know. I'm like, it's the sonics. Sonically, I'm not there yet, and so.
Was that something you had to develop in your ear, or like by hearing and seeing how other people do stuff, or like what type of path did that take you on in growth? Yeah,
it just lets you know, like, there's certain frequencies and certain sounds and certain things that people are using that you got to get out. I had to get out my own way, thinking, oh, I'm just gonna do this, I'm gonna do it like this. And once I was shown another way to do it, I was like, it makes sense, And so then it helped me keep broadening my horizon of what I wanted to do and the sounds. And I'm like, now I know how to manipulate sound, and I could take something from nothing to like sounding like something. Yeah.
That's really important. And that's a huge learning curve.
Huge.
It seems like you kind of have to get, like you said, they was hyping you up, that you had to get knocked down, but not to be knocked out, but to have a different perspective. So I like to, on here a lot, because of the audience that we have and who we're trying to target, I like to talk about the highs, and I definitely like to talk about the lows, because there's so much growth and learning in those moments. Yeah. Tell me about, in this journey, the point in it where you just felt like, this is it, I can't do this anymore. Like, what was that point for you?
I say the point was, we talk about talent, and sometimes, being talented, I'm one of those people. I believe we all can work together to accomplish a bigger goal, right? Right. And so I think it was a time. It was around Christmas time, and things were moving with the group of people that I was working with at the time. Things were great, and I think it's just one person that got divisive. They didn't like what was going on, or they wanted more. They wanted to cause division, and at that time, my house got robbed. Oh man. The people I was working with kind of was on some different time. They wouldn't like, they were listening to other things that people were saying, and it became a mess. And so a lot of confusion. It was a lot of confusion, and so it was hard for me because I try to make sure that I look out for people and have people's back, and then when they don't have it in return, it's kind of like a punch in the gut. Right. And so, like, I remember, having to come back at the Christmas break, and my house robbed, and I'm like, yo, I can't live here, because the person who broke into my house, they knew me, so they may have keys. Oh, that's even worse. Yeah, that's even worse. And so, I remember Baron said, he's like, hey man, we gonna move you over here, bro, and we're gonna start fresh. And so, that was before all the Arianna Grande stuff. And at that moment, I had to tell myself, like, all right, it's time to reset, reevaluate who's around you, and regroup. And so that was a low time for me, but it ended up being the slingshot for me as well.
Right.
Yeah.
Because like you said, it was right on the precipice of you linking up with someone who's a major artist now, who at the time, you didn't even know really who she was for real.
Yeah, at all.
And she was kind of getting, she had been known
Yeah.
because of being on TV and stuff like that. But if you had taken that as to tuck it, because you probably could have had family. If you would have told your family members
Oh yeah.
what had went down, they'd be like, boy, if you don't bring
Mhm.
your butt
Facts.
right back here now,
Facts.
and sometimes the people that we seek for comfort, they want to protect us so
Yeah.
much, but we got to keep going.
Have to.
And had you made a different move, things could have been way different.
That's facts.
And what I like about your story from the perspective that I see it from is that you are very successful. You are, but
I'm almost there.
no, because what I talk about here is how people are on different levels of success because you're still working.
Yeah.
You're still moving.
Yeah.
So that's success all by itself.
Yes, I'll take that.
But however, you don't value or walk in your success in a way where it was fashioned by the ideas of other people. The way you look at your success is really based in your own values.
Yes.
And I think that's so dope. That's like the most important thing. I think that's something that every artist needs to keep in their heart because it connects you to the purpose and so that you can keep going.
Yeah.
Now, speaking of that, talk to me about the decision we're going to fast forward past the Arianna Grande stuff because you talked about it at length and we're going to touch on some stuff there. But I really want to get to, with all the success that was happening around you, and it seems like things were coming easy at a certain point. I mean, you got people walking into your house and sitting down with you
That's crazy.
that are like on levels that you probably could have never imagined before.
Yeah.
What was it that made you say, it's time for me to go back?
It was two things, I would say. One, I went through, it was another situation that had happened. Something had ended in a relationship. Transparent. I was in a relationship that was coming to a close. But in the time of that situation, before it was wrapping up, my father was kind of on a decline and having to have some surgeries. And one thing people know about me, which I've always said is, and I've mentioned this to some of the homies, I say, man, if it's a choice between this industry or my family, I'm always going to choose my family.
I mean, there you go.
Yeah. So, when all that stuff was happening and, my dad was going through surgeries and me and the young lady was breaking up, it was just like, it made me reset myself and say, man, what matters, right? And what I realized was in those down times, it was friends and family that that really got me through.
Right.
You know what I mean? So,
right.
And that I could rely on. I was hanging with everybody. I mean, I'm on private jets with people. I'm on I'm taking vacations with people.
Right. Living it up.
Living it literally was.
Right.
And then it was the rug was pulled from under me. And then it was like, all right, reality set in. It was like, man, when the dust settles, I was like paying $500 meals for people, all kind of crazy stuff. I said, man, all those people I bought meals for, they're not even talking to me now. Right.
In the moment where you're like, one of the people that matters the most to you is going through.
Yeah.
And you got to make a decision.
Yeah, how to make a decision. And so it was like, it just made me, really, look at, what matters, who matters, what will be there. And my friends was pulling up on me. They didn't really know what was going on, but they was pulling up on me, like just checking on me. Like, they were my family,
Right.
And so that let me know, I was like, man, regardless of anything, any fame, fortune, I know that family and true friends are gonna always ride.
That's so important.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that, I'm not glad of the circumstances that brought you to that point, because it kind of you can feel like when it rains, it pours. But that point where you are able to see who's with you and who's not, and it's not that the people who are doing anything malicious. That's just the nature of the beast, so to speak. When you hot, they with you.
Yeah. And I won't say his name, but I will. It's one person that is super, even though I met this person through that relationship, he's been solid he stayed solid. and he's a major star. And so I always me and him always show each other love whenever he's in town. And some of his family become like family too.
Oh,
and so
awesome.
like not everybody is like that.
Yeah.
Like, just because, you're not in one situation that they don't feel like they can rock with you either. Some people are still like, man, because his thing was, man, you're a good dude, bro. And I just, so I respect real. You know? And so
real recognize real.
Real recognize real for sure. Yeah.
And so your next step after you got here, you've had all these experiences of success and seeing the top, and you get here and you decide, I'm going to sow seeds here and plant here. Tell me about the decision to start the production school that you did and what it is that you saw back home in Kansas City that made you want to go be on fire for your city. Yeah.
So it was like I was starting to make a decision to come back, like 2016. Me and McLean, who's one of my best friends, we ended up, getting in a relationship, getting married, but nice. I literally was going back and forth between LA. So from 2015, 16, I was in LA Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. I would fly back every Saturday morning, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday in Kansas City, and fly out Wednesday again.
Ooh, that's a lot.
Yeah, so I was doing that. I did that for like almost 3 years straight until the pandemic happened.
Oh, see.
But the whole time I was, in the midst of coming back and forth, I just realized like Kansas City, especially Wyandotte County, it's like, where are the resources, right? I'm in LA, I'm like, Arianna's on set, she's working on music. I'm like, where you go to school? She's like, yeah, I go to school. I got a tutor. I'm like, tutor? She's like, yeah, that's my school. And I'm like, man, those opportunities ain't here in Kansas City, And I've seen other kids that are music producers at a young age.
Like, they have a lot of that out there.
Yeah, and they're like, where's the schooling come from? A lot of them, some may be homeschooled, some have tutors that are with the high schools. And I'm like, man, and they just had the resources because they realized that there was an ecosystem out there that was built, right? And that ecosystem is entertainment. Yeah. And so Kansas City's ecosystem for entertainment I was seeing was like, man, I graduated in 1999. Not to be telling my age, but
that's
graduated.
Fine. We the same age.
Yeah. I graduated in 99 and I'm like, man, there's no programs, no audio engineering schools, no acting. Where are the acting schools at? Where are the acting coaches at? Right. Right.
And with the history of Kansas City and music, that's the thing.
Now,
we could get into all the socioeconomic stuff that broke all that up, but we'll be sitting here for a whole nother hour.
Yeah, that's I'm going to tell you who told me about that. Quincy Jones. Quincy asked me where I was from. I said, I'm from Kansas City. He's like, I'm mad at Kansas City. I'm like, what are you mad at KC for? He's like, y'all lost y'all's history.
He's not lying because he knows it.
He
was there.
That's what he said. I was there. Kansas City was a it place to be. And so, but that's because I believe that we get so focused on looking outside and what other cities are doing that we don't even realize like how viable, how amazing Kansas City is. And Kansas City was Vegas before Vegas.
Facts.
I always ask myself the question. I got involved with the Quindaro ruins. I'm finding out there was black colleges right there on Quindaro. What do you mean? That's black colleges. It was, there's
so much history,
so much gems, but we got to continue teaching our kids about the history because I used to think it was like it's a quote, but you don't know where you're going unless you know where you come from.
It's not just a quote. That literally should be a principle. Yeah. At this point.
Yeah. For sure.
Because if you apply it, no matter how you apply it, it's going to be true.
Facts. Yeah.
Like you have to know where you've been.
You have to.
We had the first episode of our show was Diallo French, and he did Kansas City Dreaming, documentary about the history of Kansas City jazz and everything. And I asked him a question about. Like, why does he feel like there's such a huge disconnect from like the young people here now and understanding jazz and its importance and its legacy to music and even in hip hop? It's like You know, and people don't even think about it being connected, but people at our age, we know this inextricably linked.
Yeah. Yeah. How the kids don't know that a lot of music that they enjoying right now comes from the 90s. And so
all those breaks?
Yeah, it's just like you got the breaks, you got all the old records that are being sampled, and the kids think that they're original songs. I'm like, man, that's the song I grew up on. They sampled this person.
Same.
You know, it's the same thing. It's just like if you don't, plant that seed and really keep letting people know, and especially the future, the kids, what I call them, know like, hey, this is what this is, and you should check this out and find out the history about jazz and understand that a lot of the rap albums and hip hop songs that you like have some influence somewhere. And where does music come from? Blues, jazz, it all comes from, a lot of this music is just like little branches off of those things that have been created by some of the most amazing people in the world. So, and
how well versed you have to be as a producer, and not just the music that you want to hear, but in everything.
Everything.
For that reason, like you find out that this song they pulled up some strings from some obscure Portuguese jazz record, and then you find out it's not really that obscure. Like everybody samples this one Portuguese dude. It's crazy. I don't do any of that, but I'm always in the credits and I'm always looking at that kind of stuff. And I'm always like, okay, who sampled this? And it's so interesting.
Think about that. Now everything being on social or the platform, Spotify, it's kind of hard. Back in the day, I used to enjoy like, who wrote this, who produced this. You can pull the credits out, the little thing in the CD case, and you can say, such and such.
Everything was there.
So where's that at? It's hard to find it on Apple Music. It's hard to find it on Spotify. So you don't even know who's.
Tidal is probably the one that has the most information, but even then, it's not as in depth as the liner notes used to be.
Yeah.
So with the wealth of information that you have and your connection to wanting to or your desire to reconnect history with current day and molding these young minds, what is the thing that you want the students that come through your production school to take away from this whole experience?
For one, I mean, everything that I try to do is built off love. I think it starts there because a lot of our kids haven't been told that someone loves them or someone cares for them, right? And so when they enter into my class, I'm not having them enter my class like I don't think a teacher for me, as the teacher I want to be, I'm not someone who's barking orders and telling you what to do. I want to explain and let you know why we're doing what we're doing, and I want you to know that I respect you, so I ask for respect in return. It's not me. I'm not I don't own anybody. If you want to listen, if you want this knowledge, I'll give it. If you don't, that's on you, right? But I want to give them the opportunity and the space to know like, hey, this is where my heart is. I want to give you something that you can change the trajectory of your own family. And that's by providing a trade for them that they can actually capitalize on when they leave the class. I was seeing a lot of kids going in debt trying to take audio engineering class. And I'm like, why are they going in debt and then they not learning everything that they need to learn, and then they get to me in a real studio format and they're lost. So because so the program is through the Full Employment Council. It was through Full. Okay. So I started off with the Full Employment Council, and we did that for a few years, and that was amazing. I probably need to talk to Clyde too. Clyde McLean, shout out to Clyde McLean. Hey. We started with them, and then something happened. They needed to move the site where the studio was, and so it just didn't get picked back up. So I knew that I couldn't just stop it there because I saw how much it was changing. I had like a 99% retention rate.
Wow,
it was crazy, right?
That's leaps and bounds over the actual school district.
Yeah, and so I was like, man, they want this. Kids are wanting to learn about, because they were having that issue like, man, I'm giving my stuff to these guys to mix and master and it don't sound good. Right. So I'm like,
I hear it a lot.
That's the main thing. And so I just like, let me give them something that they can take with them. But after the Full Employment Council, I started to dig a little deeper. I called UCM myself, University of Central Missouri. Yeah. And I was like, hey, would you be willing to continue the program? And so we did that, and was looking for schools to, entertain. And then a lady by the name of Susan Wiley met with me, and shout out to Susan Wiley too. She met with me and she says to me, and it changed my perspective. She's like, Joe, you wrote the curriculum? I was like, yeah. She's like, you teaching the class? I was like, yeah. She said, why do you need UCM?
Huh.
Right. And so she was like, you should find the avenue and you teach the class yourself. I mean, you can have your own institute. So that sparked my interest.
That's a paradigm shift.
Yeah, it was for real. And so I reached out to Pro Tools, and which is the biggest digital audio workstation, and really asked them about, hey, a guy introduced me to someone because he had did the same thing. And I was like, hey, I want to have a class. I gave them my credentials and what I've done and what I wanted to do. And they were like, look, we'd love to partner with you. And so
that's amazing.
Come to find out, they have a whole program. So all the universities and everything else, they have to go through Pro Tools to get this certification.
Closed mouth don't get fed, right?
Yeah, so she hit me the game. That's why I say Susan really changed the game. So now, probably in this region, I'm the only institution for Avid Pro Tools that you can actually come and get your certification through Pro Tools.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy. And the classes what's the age range?
Well, I'm wanting to start in middle school, so I think
that would be dope.
Yeah, that's what I want. Right now I'm in high school, so I get anywhere from freshmen to seniors. But there is no age range with me, and that's why the institute was so important because I didn't want to just cap it at a certain. I have people that are 30-something years old that want to pick up this trade, right? And so I didn't want to, have restrictions with that. So we ended up with the partnership with Pro Tools, I'm able to extend past any age barrier, and if they want to take the class, it's there for them to take.
That's amazing. It blows my mind because, you, first of all, you being asked that question of, why do you need us? Mm-hmm. And then you taking that to say, I do know people. Mm-hmm. Just reaching out and getting. That's crazy.
Yeah.
I think that's awesome. So what are your future plans for?
So right now, we have acquired some spaces, and I'm excited because this is what I want to do. I think graduating in 99 and realizing that no programs have been built since then, and to be able to come in to say, hey, we have audio engineering opportunities, we have coding opportunities, we have gaming opportunities, we have videography opportunities,
that's crazy.
We have photography opportunities, graphic design opportunities, that we are going to be able to provide and offer the kids in the Kansas City metro area. That's Kansas City, Kansas, and Kansas City, Missouri.
Right.
For me, because I don't think we realize how many tech jobs are about to come to Kansas City. And if our kids are not prepared for it, they're going to be flying people from everywhere around the world to take these jobs. And with these jobs being there, why would we let outside people get them before our kids get them?
Not to mention, there's something changing right now as far as because Atlanta. The filmmakers I talk to, they're like, we trying to get Kansas City back on that end.
Yeah.
To be the place to come and make a movie, make music videos and stuff has already started.
Mm-hmm.
So that whole groundswell is just so exciting.
Yeah.
What are you working on right now that you're excited for? It's going to be the next thing. I hear there's a possibility you might be doing some new work with old friends.
Yeah. Some good work with some solid people,
You probably can't say too much.
Yeah, I can't say too much
because that's my job. But
I'm excited. Not that I've stepped away from the industry by no means. I'm still active. This is being a music producer and writer and vocal producer. That is my 9-to-5 job. And I get calls every week from my people in LA, like, man, when you coming back, bro? But for me, building the ecosystem here that's the most important thing.
It's the most important thing.
Yeah, I just believe that we have. You said it early in the interview was we have a huge pool of talent, and all they need is the opportunity.
Yeah.
Right. And I think once we all can get out our own way and start working together, even though you may have something that may look like what I'm doing, and I may have, that doesn't mean we all can't work together.
Right.
And it may be jobs out there that. I can't do them, but I'm gonna pass them to you.
Right.
Right. we got to get more into that.
We got to get more into that. We got to get back to that.
Yeah.
Take the egos out of it, work together. We can all get paid. We can all get fed. We can all bring in work, because the more that we work together, the more that we stand out and people want to bring work here. Super important. I've had such a great time talking to you. Yeah. When I say starstruck, I'm starstruck by your passion to sow where you started and everything that you're doing and the way that you're passionate about it. I absolutely love that. And I'm sure there's a lot of people that are going to want to keep up with you and keep track of what's going on. Go ahead and let them know where they can keep up with you.
You can find me, Joblaqofficial. That's JOBLAQ official on Instagram. It's my full government on Facebook, which is Joseph Edward Macklin. I'm Jo Blaq 20. That's JOBLAQ 20 on Twitter and on TikTok. And then most importantly, though, you can find us on district.com, and that's spelled distrkct.com. And we do have our foundation, which is the District Kids Foundation, and you can click on that page and find our foundation and figure out and learn about everything that we're doing. Yeah.
That's awesome. Thanks again for being here. I appreciate you 100%. I cannot wait to see how this blows up. In my mind, I see expansion on all different levels.
Thank you so much.
It's amazing.
Thank you.
All the links that he gave will be down in the description box below, so definitely check him out. And new episodes are getting close up. They're bi-weekly on Fridays. If you had as much fun as we did, make sure that you click that like button, you subscribe, hit us up in the comments, and make sure you also hit the notification bell so you don't miss a thing. You can also check out me and D as we do our reviews. You know how we do it. We have a great time. We on restaurants, movies, whatever. Hit us up. Again, thank you guys for watching. And I'll see you again soon for another close up. I'll be checking for you. Bye.